Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. I hope that everybody has had an awesome week, and I hope that you're looking forward to a great weekend for those of you where the weekend's already started. I'm jealous. All right, today this class is IELTS writing task 2, and it's about world peace. It's a very provocative and interesting topic today. Welcome Amrit, Zarina, Fennel. Good to see many of our members in the class. Welcome Carolina, our chat moderator. It's good to have you all here with me today. This is a members chat class. Of course, everybody is welcome to watch. To become a member of our channel, click the join button next to the subscribe button. If you're studying for IELTS, definitely subscribe to our channel. You will have live classes regularly each week and lots of tips and strategies to maximize your score. So if you're doing IELTS, this is the channel where you want to subscribe. This lesson, everybody, is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Check us out there. For the general IELTS, visit us at glshelp.com. On both of those websites, we give you lots of writing help, including editing services for the IELTS exam. And you can use this code IDEA25 for a 25% discount. This is inspired by our latest video that we just released. I will show you the websites real quick. They look like this. We use the websites regularly in these live classes. We use the materials from these websites regularly in the live classes. You click this big red button to join our premium package. That's just above my head there. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. We are an official British Council IELTS Test Registration Center certified agents. We're IDP partners. We're certified British Council agents, so you're in great hands with us. Right there, you can click that green button to try the course as well. And it's the same idea for general IELTS. It's the green background. And again, you can click this big red button there that's just above my head to join the premium IELTS package, and then use that code IDEA25 for a 25% discount on the premium package. Yes, Emra, my time right now is 5:34 a.m. 5:34 a.m. It's early morning. The early bird catches the worm. I like waking up early. It's actually quite good to get going early in the morning. Welcome, Rajveer. Let's get back to our outline for the lesson today. For our apps, go to your app store, look for Academic IELTS Help, download the app, link it to your web account, download the app General IELTS Help, link that to your web account at aehelp.com and glshelp.com. And if you have questions, students, or if you want to get a free score for your writing to figure out your band level for your writing, you can send us your writing to Adrian at aehelp.com, or send us your questions there. That's my email. You can get a hold of us there. All right, and the video that we just released about half an hour ago is a new speaking video, and we're using a green screen, so it's kind of got this funky feel to it. That video is, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Check it out a little bit later on. It's got some great tips and strategies for you to improve for the speaking section. So there you go, members. There you go, viewers. It's in the chat, so you can check that out. That's our brand new speaking video, and it's good to check that out because we will have speaking part 2 and speaking part 3 tomorrow for our members and viewers. So it's good to practice. Speaking is a skill that you should practice every single day. If I had to choose the most important skill for communication and on IELTS, it would definitely be the speaking skill. Also, if you want to get those free essay scores, I highly recommend signing up for Grammarly using our link. I know many of our members have done that. Again, I put that into the chat as well. It's a great piece of software to help you improve your grammar and your writing for free. So check out Grammarly. It's a beautiful piece of software for typing, writing in English. Absolutely. All right, it sounds like a lot of preamble, a lot of ads, but they're actually a lot of useful tools. I'm genuinely telling you to use these. They're very, very good for you. Okay, let's get into IELTS Task 2. So what is this? What's going on with IELTS Task 2? IELTS Task 2 writing, it's the second task, of course, in the writing section of the IELTS. It comes after Task 1. You should always do Task 2 after Task 1, okay? You can do it first, so you could choose to do it before Task 1, but I don't recommend doing it. I think Task 2 takes more thinking. I think it's good to do Task 1 first so that you practice a bit of your writing before you get into the bigger, heavier task. It's just like when you're doing a math test, you want to do easier math questions first and then the more difficult math questions later, because the easier math questions help you to do better on the more difficult math questions. And that's kind of the same idea for the writing section. So Task 1 should be easier in both the general and academic exams. And then Task 2 is a bit more challenging. It takes twice as much time. It takes at least twice as much thinking. So leave Task 2 for after Task 1, but make sure to have 40 minutes. Okay, that's very important. And then step 1, as it's very, very important, is to read the question slowly. So many people desire world peace for humanity. However, a lot of individuals believe that this is impossible. What are the reasons that people think it is not realistic to achieve world peace, and how do you feel about this? Give explanations and examples from your own experience. So, all right, provocative, like I say, it's an interesting question. The first step to understand it is to paraphrase it. Okay, so paraphrase the question. It means rewrite the question using your own words. So I'm going to do that, and you do the same. Let's see what we come up with, and then we'll go to the next step, okay? So nice and smooth and steady. I'd like to see lots and lots of writing. So let's do that, okay? Here we go. All right, many people, a lot of individuals. Nevertheless, many people think that this cannot be accomplished. Okay, so different ways to say it's impossible or to achieve. Cannot be accomplished. What are the causes that people think lead to an inability for harmony among humanity? And what are your thoughts on this? Give explanations and examples and cases from your own learning. Okay, so there is my paraphrase. Let's see what you have come up with. So again, here's the original question. I'm going to go a little bit smoother, a little bit faster through this, and then you'll see what's going on. So many people desire world peace for humanity. Another way to say that is a lot of individuals wish for peace among men. So we will commonly hear this in English, so peace among man, okay? Nevertheless, instead of however, many people think this cannot be accomplished. It's just a different way of saying that it is impossible. And then here it says, what are the reasons people think that world peace, what are the reasons that people think it is not realistic to achieve world peace, and how do you feel about this? I've written, what are the causes that people think lead to an inability for harmony among humanity? So peace is also defined as harmony among humanity. And I just thought about that while I was thinking about how to paraphrase. So this becomes very useful language, okay? The reason you want to paraphrase the question is not because it's your introductory paragraph necessarily, but because it allows you to understand the question clearly and think about useful vocabulary, okay? So this allows you to understand the question accurately and think about useful vocabulary. Okay. All right, let's see what others have. So this is Rajveer's paraphrase here, and there's different ways to do this. Rajveer, good to see you coming in on these classes and practicing. I like it. All right. So Rajveer says, many individuals endorse harmony among humanity. Nonetheless, the majority feel that it is not possible to achieve it. Why is it impossible to achieve world peace, and what is your position? Give explanations and instances from your own experience. Okay, Rajveer, that's good. All right. All right, very nice. Let's see what Amrit has here. So again, members, try this. I can see Arda's also giving it a go, which is great. I can give you feedback and note those corrections. So Rajveer, just a couple of small corrections there. Okay. And definitely go through these steps. Students that go through these steps, they do well. Amrit, you got 6.5 in your writing, which is solid. Okay. The writing score actually is the most challenging for most people to get a good mark. So Amrit says, many people want humankind to live in peace on earth. Very nice paraphrasing here, Amrit. I really like that. Many others, meanwhile, think that this is not feasible. Excellent paraphrasing there as well. What are the arguments for why some people think achieving world peace is not possible? And what do you think about this? Really nice, Amrit. Well done. That's great paraphrasing. Okay. And Arda. Arda writes, And I see the it at the end there as well, Arda, so let's stick that in there. Didn't fit in the same chat, but there we go. Arda says, millions of individuals wish for peace among humans. Nevertheless, certain people think there is no way to accomplish this. What are the causes that people think there will not be world peace? What are the causes for people thinking there will not be world peace, and what do you think about it? Question mark. Okay, now it looks good, Arda. A couple of slight corrections. Overall, pretty good. Keep working on that grammar. Arda, I think Grammarly would be especially useful for you. Are you using Grammarly, Arda? Because I think you're making small mistakes that Grammarly would easily catch, and it would give you an explanation. Arda, for you, I would highly recommend using Grammarly Premium for maybe 3-4 months. It's a little bit pricey, but I think for you it would be well worth it. So consider using Grammarly Premium. I think it's definitely the right tool for you. Okay, so the reason I say that, Arda, and this is for everybody, is because Grammarly is especially useful when you have small mistakes that are consistent. Grammarly is very well built for that. I myself use it for that reason. So I also make tiny mistakes, and Grammarly is very good at catching those small mistakes and then giving me a good alternative to at least think about. Okay, so that's why. All right, so good. Okay, some good paraphrasing. I think we all have a very clear idea now of what this task 2 is really about. So the next step when you're practicing and when you're doing this in the real IELTS is identify the topic and the controlling idea or ideas. It's usually one idea. So identify the topic and the controlling idea or the controlling ideas. You should never write an essay where you don't clearly know what the topic is and what the controlling idea is, because then how does your audience know if you don't know, right? So there's just no way to write a high band essay without having clarity about the topic. So here, the topic, and we should always get the topic from the original question, not the paraphrase. So many people desire world peace for humanity. However, a lot of individuals believe that this is impossible. What are the reasons that people think it is not realistic to achieve world peace, and how do you feel about it? So what's the topic here? Rajveer says it's world peace for humanity. Yeah, exactly, right? And I think we can simplify it even further. Rajveer, we can just say world peace. Okay, sure. What's the controlling idea or ideas? So what is the controlling idea of the question? If the topic is world peace, what's the controlling idea? Arda says topic is can people live in peace, why or why not? Arda, that's too complex for a topic, and when you're thinking about a topic, you should never think about it as a question. You should always think about it as a statement, and it usually will only be 1, 2, maybe 3 words. You should never have to write a full sentence or a question for it, okay? Lamia says the topic is the possibility of world peace. Yeah, I think Lamia here we can simplify it even further and just say world peace, right? Rajveer says, why is it impossible to achieve it and what is my position? Yeah, so the controlling idea is reasons for impossibility. Okay, reasons for impossibility of world peace and personal opinion, right? So that's what the controlling idea here is. All right, students, in great communication, and this is for everyday life, for your work, for your school, you really want to always work on having clear, concise topic and controlling idea. The better you get at identifying topics, controlling ideas of questions, the more success you're going to have in life, because the better analysis, the better logic, and the better rhetoric you'll have in life. Okay? All right. So now we know what we're talking about, and now we know specifically why or how we're going to be talking about this. So ideally, okay, and when you're practicing this at home, we haven't done this the last couple of Task 2 classes because we've been doing it regularly, and I took a different approach in those classes. I'm always, teaching you new thoughts, new strategies, and then I'm also strengthening some of the older previous strategies. And one of the most important types of thinking and planning for writing that you should always practice is applying critical thinking. Okay, that means think what, why, how. Okay, or let's say ask what, why, how about the topic and the controlling idea. Okay. My fingers are still a bit tired this morning. My brain's good though. So ask what, why, how about the topic and controlling idea, or controlling ideas. And there's logic to this, okay? And you're going to see why. So every time I sneeze, they say you're telling the truth. Okay, so there's logic to this. You're going to see why very, very quickly here. All right, and so here we go. Check it out. First question. Actually, you know what I should ask you? What is the first question you should ask yourself here, members? I don't want to spoil this for you. Thank you, Carolina. So if I'm going through these steps, and of course in the real IELTS exam, this is happening very quickly. So I read the question, I paraphrase it within a matter of 15 seconds. I identify the topic, the controlling idea within 2 seconds. And then I go, okay, I need to think about the what, why, how here. So I need to ask the first question. Very good, Rajveer. Very good, Amrit. Very nice, Amra. And a lot of people don't do this, and that's a big problem. So Amrit, you know what? I'm gonna actually copy all three of you out here. So for all of our viewers, our members, 3 of them in a row are doing this. Okay, and it's absolutely the right step. So you can see here that Amrit, Rajveer, Arda, basically are all saying the first question we need to ask ourselves here is, what is world peace? Okay, so you see the exact same question repeated by all 3 members. That is a very good sign when you have that kind of agreement that you're thinking correctly. Okay, good for you. Those comments came 1, 2, 3 in the chat. Okay, that's a very strong indicator that you're on the right track for good thinking. So what is world peace? Okay, we all talk about it and we all kind of have an idea of it, but how do we define it? Okay, so first of all, I mean, we can say already, right, world peace is difficult to achieve because the definition is unclear. So we all have this kind of concept and we all hear it since we're little children, peace and love and happiness, but what do we really mean by that? So give me an answer. I can always, of course, give you my answer, but I want you to think for yourself, and I'm genuinely curious about what you think world peace is without me spoiling it for you, right? And if you're writing an IELTS Task 2 essay about world peace, you better well know what you're writing about. You can't just be writing, oh, it's about love and hugs and everybody holding hands. Yeah, but come on, let's, like, we live in reality here, right? So what are we actually talking about? So Arda says, people live nicely without meaning any harm to each other. What does that mean though, Arda? So this is what Arda says. Okay. So Arda says, people live nicely, okay, without meaning any harm to each other. Okay, intending harm. Yeah, what does that mean though? Like, is that realistic? Can humans actually live without, well, that's the question we'll answer, right, Arda? Can we define it a little bit differently? Now, think about it this way too. IELTS Task 2, you have 250 words, you have 40 minutes. World peace, big topic. You could probably write a book easily. In fact, I'm sure there are lots of books out there about world peace. Okay. Amrit says, help people with peacefully. You cannot define a word with itself, Amrit. So if you write this, Amrit, it's very confusing for your reader. Okay. So let me show you. All right. This is very confusing because you're trying to define a word by itself. It's like saying big is meaning like very big, right? It's like, well, what are you saying, right? Like you can't define a word with itself in a different word form, okay? So keep that in mind. You cannot define a word with itself, right? Zarina says, a tranquil world. You cannot define a world. Sorry, you cannot define a word with its synonym either. Okay. So this is what Zarina says with a question mark. Okay. So Zarina, kind of a similar comment as with Amrit, just a little bit of a different view. You cannot define a word with a close synonym. Still will not make sense. It's like saying, what is big? Well, it means it's large. So what is large, right? So you can't define it with its close synonym either. Okay. All right, Amrit says, various religious and secular organizations have the stated aim of achieving world peace through addressing human rights. It sounds like you read a definition online, Amrit, and I'm going to be honest with you, it doesn't actually look all that good. I wouldn't be impressed by this if I were reading it all that much. Okay, Rajveer, let's see what Rajveer says here. So notice how suddenly we're realizing that, hey, wait a second, one of the most difficult parts of this Task 2 essay in the beginning is just figuring out what we're actually writing about, right? Rajveer says, it is the ability to have a world where people from different parts care for each other and have empathy. I don't know, Rajveer. Would that really be world peace? I mean, we can still be aggressive. So you do have to define it, right? So at this point, you're probably going, hey, Adrian, well, what is world peace? What do you think it is? All right, well, I'll let you know what I think it is. And it can be different, okay? So your definition, when it's such a subjective word, could be different. What's most important is that it's clear, okay? So I'm not telling you that my definition of world peace is the right definition or the only definition, okay? So when you keep this in mind, this is a very important point here, everyone. So when you have a very subjective topics are difficult to write about for IELTS, but when you have a very subjective topic like world peace, there could be many definitions, okay? What is important is that your definition is clear, okay? It's logical and it's easy to understand for your audience, okay? Okay, so that's what you have to think about, right? So again, when we go back to this question, what is world peace? Okay, my definition of world peace means all people on earth no longer display physical violence and aggression towards one another at any time. It's going to say at the same time, but at any time. So that would be my definition of world peace. It means every human living on Earth stops physically being aggressive to other people, okay? And notice how I didn't include verbally, like using our voice. I just think that would be too utopic to try to think about it that way. I mean, at the end of the day, you're still going to use your voice to explain disagreements, and you might have some verbal aggression of some sorts. I don't think that, you know, it would be very strange to imagine a world without any type of conflict, right? But I would definitely say that all people on Earth no longer display physical violence and aggression towards one another at any time, okay? So no physical conflict, if I want to keep it very simple. All right, so that would be my definition of world peace going into this essay. All right, and Lamia says, okay, thumbs up. So if you agree with me on that, like if you think, okay, well, if I were reading Adrian's essay and he defined world peace as no physical conflict among humans, then would I be able to agree? Would I think, yeah, hey, that's okay, that makes sense as world peace, right? All right, so yeah. Amrit, that's not necessarily no crime. So some types of crime are not physical conflict, right? Like if somebody steals a chocolate bar, then it's not necessarily a physical conflict, but it's still crime. So we have to be very careful not to confuse our reader, right, Amrit? Okay. Okay. So now that I have my clear subjective definition, I can say, okay, well, I can get one step closer to writing a good high band essay, right? So the question that we want to ask, of course, is why next, right? So why does humanity want this kind of world peace? So what's my answer here? Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of pace because I do want to get to, you know, the introductory paragraph and so on. But I challenge you students while I'm doing this to also give your answers, okay? So members into the chat. Yeah, and Arda says, why does it have to be physical? That's a very good question, Arda. It doesn't. That's my definition of world peace, okay? As no physical conflict, all right? You could try to convince your reader of a more general concept of world peace where there's absolute no conflict. So no verbal conflict as well. The reason that I'm focusing on physical conflict alone, Arda, that was a very good question, by the way. So Arda's asking this, and I love when you know, when we have this rhetoric, when we have this kind of dialogue. So Arda's asking in the chat, you know, I'll actually copy you, Arda, here out. So It's a very good question, and I think it's worth answering this question for everybody. So artist says, why does it have to be physical? Why can't your definition be more than that, right? Very simply, because it makes it easier for me to write this essay, and I have only, let's say, 300 words and 40 minutes to do it in for IELTS. If I broaden my definition of world peace, it would require more time and words to explain clearly. So your question, Arda, is very good, because you can't, for IELTS, when you're thinking about what is my topic, how do I define my topic, you have to think about the parameters of the IELTS. You have to think, okay, I've got 40 minutes and maybe 300 words to do this, to have some clear communication for my examiner. So I have to consider that when I'm defining my topic. If I define it too broadly with too much content, then it's just going to be a very weak, loose essay in that amount of time. Okay, an artist says thumbs up. Got it. Okay. All right, so why does humanity want this kind of world peace? All right, because life is precious, right? Humans feel that life is precious. Okay, and physical harm leads to both physical and emotional pain, right? So if a person dies in a war, then that leads to emotional pain for the family. If a person gets injured in a war, that leads to physical and emotional pain for the individual and possibly their family, right? So we want to eliminate pain and suffering. Okay. So how do we achieve world peace? By making a conscious effort to not physically hurt another person. Okay, so I'm going through this quickly, and for everybody who's watching, in the real IELTS exam, of course, I am doing most of this in my head. Okay, maybe so far I would have just taken a quick note on the definition of world peace. Okay, all people on earth no longer display physical violence, aggression, no physical conflict among humanity. Okay. All right. James says the reason we want world peace is so that people can develop their capacity fully and contribute in their field. Okay, so for better development. So James, simplify. You have good ideas. When you have a good idea like that, James, make it more concise. Okay, so to evolve. All right, that I think that's a good one. So why does humanity want this kind of world peace? To evolve into a higher level society that has greater joy, happiness, right? Life satisfaction, sure. Rajveer says through mutual agreement and enforcement. Good. So we're getting a lot of good ideas now, and that's fantastic. So we want to go and do the same with the controlling idea. Okay. So what is the impossibility of achieving world peace? I shouldn't be capitalizing that. World peace. They are common nouns. Okay. What I would say here, because I have a good definition, is humans are not able to stop physical conflict all over the world at the same time. Okay. Now comes the important why, right? So this is the reasons part. Okay. And here's where you want to, of course, visualize, think about real case instances, right? So why is it impossible to achieve world peace? Okay. And here, when you're thinking about this in the IELTS, okay, so why is it impossible to achieve world peace? You want to think of a couple of ideas, okay? So think of 2 good reasons for your essay, all right? And as long as you think of 2 good reasons, you might want to think of 3 and then choose the 2 best ones. Then you'll be able to write a good essay. Okay, so why is it impossible to achieve world peace? Now, if you're thinking about wars, past and present, okay, so you have wars in the past, such as the United States war in Afghanistan or Vietnam, or you had World War I, World War II between the Allied forces and the power of Axis, and you currently have the war between Russia and Ukraine, or NATO and Russia, if you will. So if you think about these, then you do come up with a couple of very quick concepts and reasons of why people are not able to achieve world peace. Okay, so when you think about world peace, you can think of conflict at the individual level, and you can think of conflict at the greater social level, like the national level, right? So visualize and think about it at the individual level and a social level. So you can think about it in the micro and macro sense. Right? The small and the big. Okay, so Zarina says people's differences in greediness and power. Rajveer, that's the one that I thought of as well. Okay, so Rajveer says conflict of interest, right? So conflict of interest. Number 1. Yeah, conflict of interest, right? One side wants communism, the other side wants capitalism. Okay, sure. So conflict of interest. Absolutely. We have different wants. Okay, is one. The other one is human nature. And there are a few different ones that we could go with here, but I'm going to just stay with greed because, again, as soon as I started writing the other one, like gluttony, I realized that, wait a second, this is IELTS. I don't need to write a full book here. It's just the 300-word essay. So nature of humanity, it's greed, right? Okay. So human nature. And it's basically both human nature, right? One is greed and the other is perspective, okay? So conflict of interest is also a type of nature of humanity, right? So greed and desire. Now, are those different? Not really. So I have to make sure that my points are going to be different. Okay. All right. So tricky, right? Rashika says because of personal propaganda. Now remember, it is physical aggression, right? So conflict of interest is definitely one. We have to really think about it. Okay, so now how does it happen, right? And these are the examples. If I don't think about the why, I'm not too happy with the whys yet, but I'm going to leave it for now. And I'm going to think about the how. And then once I get to writing my thesis, I will crystallize my ideas. Okay, so how does it happen? Okay, and this is a good trick here, is think about examples, right? Okay, one side wants to control resources. Water, oil, gold, right? Are ones that come to mind very quickly. And land, okay? So we have certain resources that we feel are important for our survival. They could be absolute resources like water and land, or oil and gold. We want control of that. The only way we can achieve that is by physically removing the enemy, okay, the opposition, right? So how does it happen? Fighting for water, oil, gold, land. Okay, there's lots of different examples of countries going to war for these resources. Okay, think of some specific examples of this, right? Okay, all right. Or one country believes in one religion, the other in a different religion. So they physically force the other to submit, right? So that's another specific example. Or a political system. Okay, and there's lots of examples of that where countries go and fight with each other, not necessarily for the resources, but for the political systems, right? Okay, so now that I thought about that, now I have clarity on my reasons, and now I have clarity on my position as well. Okay, so now I can create my thesis statement. Okay, so here's my thesis statement. And the thesis statement is a clear statement, very important, with main points for discussion in the essay, for the body paragraphs. Okay. All right. Let's see. Yeah, so Amrit says some people fight for their parents' property. Right, exactly. Okay, so again, very provocative topic, and it's a slippery slope. I have to be careful here, tread lightly as well. I don't want to offend anybody. And again, notice this is why world peace, it's even difficult to discuss world peace for people, right? Because world peace would require a lot of humility and sacrifice. And I think that's what people lack, right? Is that ability to humble ourselves. Okay, big topic. Obviously, we could write books about it, but we can't do that because it's the IELTS. We have 300 words. So, thesis statement. It is unlikely to achieve world peace because individuals and societies fight for resources and beliefs. In my opinion, harmony among all humans is currently unattainable. For these reasons. Okay, so I'm just going to stick with that. Simplify it, right? So it is unlikely to achieve world peace because individuals and societies fight for resources and beliefs. In my opinion, harmony among all humans is currently unattainable for these reasons. Okay, so the essay question is asking for my opinion, so I have to give my opinion as well. Okay, let's see what others have come up with. So this is Rajveer's thesis here. Rajveer says the prime reasons for the inability to make world peace a reality is conflict of interest in human nature. I agree that it is impossible to accomplish harmony among humanity. Very good, Rajveer. So you have a kind of similar concept going into this essay, and I think that will work. All right, Arda. Let's see what you have. And I see your correction there, Rajveer, and that's a good correction. Okay, Arda says there is a very low chance of achieving world peace in a world that people fight for resources or differences. Okay, close, Arda. Let's just correct it a little bit here. So there is a very low chance of achieving world peace in a society, and society can be all humans, not that people, but where people. And notice that Grammarly gave the same correction here, Arda, where people fight for resources and different beliefs. Because it's different beliefs, right? Whether it's religious or political. Okay? And let's make this parallel grammar, Arda. So finite resources and different beliefs. And that would be a very good thesis statement. So finite resources. Finite means it's not infinite, it's the opposite. So there's a limited amount, right? Like water, oil, there's a limited amount. So finite resources and different beliefs. That would be a very good way to do it, okay? All right, Amrit, you're also kind of in line. That's good. Let's get to the introductory paragraph. Now, students, notice this, and I'm going to show you this. Once you have a good idea of your topic, once you have a good thesis statement, you can write the introductory paragraph quite quickly. Okay, so introductory paragraph. Introductory Paragraph. Paragraph. Okay. So introductory paragraph has a hook, has background, and has a thesis. Okay. Hook, it's an interesting statement that introduces the topic to catch the reader. Okay, interesting statement about the topic to catch the reader. Background, definition, and importance of the topic. Okay, thesis is the position of the essay. Clearly stated. This is standard English essay writing, everyone. It's not just for IELTS. It's not just Adrian saying it. It is the way that you learn it in English literature, in writing classes. It is the science of literature. Okay, so this is how it is. I really wish if I had a magical wand that I could make all these crazy different opinions that some instructors and places and YouTube channels are saying about how to write an essay. There aren't different ways to write a persuasive essay. Persuasive essays have a standard format. This is the standard format for an essay. And IELTS and teachers and everybody should kind of have the same idea here because it's logical. Okay, so here's my hook. Okay, there. I did it in 6 words. Arda, the hook can be a question, but I don't recommend it. Okay. There are some advanced techniques for writing, but for most essays, your essay seeks to give answers, not ask questions. In this essay, there could be places because it's so subjective, but I don't want to get into that right now. It's for the IELTS, and for the IELTS, you can get a band 9 without knowing how to use questions and essays effectively. And most of the time when people use questions and essays, they use them incorrectly. Okay, if you shouldn't be asking a question from your reader. The reason why, Arda, is because then your reader starts to think about the answer, and if their answers are different than yours, that might actually make your essay confusing and make it less interesting, or make the reader disinterested in your essay if you're asking them a question and they have different thoughts, right? So it's better to tell your reader than to ask your reader, all right? Just as a general rule of thumb for now, okay? When you get into advanced literature, there are some special techniques for asking questions, but we're definitely not doing that for IELTS, okay? And no IELTS examiner is looking for that either. Even in first year university English writing and literature, they will tell you don't write questions. Okay, right? Questions are often used in narrative writing, Arda, but again, I don't want to get into that. Okay. All right. Hook. 6 words. Most people wish for world peace, right? And you can sympathize or empathize with this because we all hear that sentence in our head, right? Like, I wish there was peace on earth, right? Or what do you wish for? I wish for world peace, right? So we can all kind of empathize with this. Okay? Wishing for world peace. Most people wish for world peace. Individuals. Okay, and now comes the background. Okay, individuals desire to live in a harmonious world with the absence of physical aggression among people. In this way, society can evolve faster while decreasing. And this is coming from what you said, James Nguyen, about society evolving faster, right, without physical aggression. So in this way, society can evolve faster while decreasing physical and emotional suffering and increasing joy. Okay, so that's the definition and the importance, right? So I'm defining world peace with the absence of physical aggression, and I'm giving the importance for it. We can evolve faster, right, as humans, and we can experience more happiness. Okay, so here's my hook and my background. Most people wish for world peace. Individuals desire to live in a harmonious world with the absence of physical aggression among people. In this way, society can evolve faster while decreasing physical and emotional suffering and increasing joy or happiness, right? And now, all I do is stick this thesis statement into the end of the introduction. Okay, I'm going to switch this back to this format here. Okay, so I need a linking word here. However is a good way to link it. And now I have my band 9 introductory paragraph. Okay, so one more time. Most people wish for world peace. Individuals desire to live in a harmonious world with the absence of physical aggression among people. In this way, society can evolve faster while decreasing physical and emotional suffering and increasing joy. However, it is unlikely to achieve world peace because individuals and societies fight for resources and beliefs. In my opinion, harmony among all humans is currently unattainable for these reasons. Okay, so here we have the introduction. It's quite clear. Now I want to go and explain these points in detail. So I go into body paragraph 1. Okay, so body paragraph 1 explains point number 1. Okay, which is fighting for resources. Okay. All right. Rashika says, although it is unattainable, world peace is the wish of millions of people. Rashika, you don't need to include opinion into your hook. You can just keep it simple. World peace is the wish of billions of people. I would say billions instead of millions. Okay, millions is okay, Rashika. I'm being a bit picky with that, but you don't need the although it is unbelievable part. Okay, or unattainable, not unbelievable. Rajveer says individuals from different cultures, religious and political backgrounds dream to have a world without physical suffering and aggression. Okay, so Rajveer, you're kind of combining your definition into the hook, which is okay. That's a strategy that you could use to make your writing more concise. Okay, just be careful. Make sure you don't make any mistakes. Sometimes it's better to just keep the hook separate and simple. Okay. Hooks should be simple, everyone. Artist says, individuals want a world where they can live in harmony. Okay? Simple, Arta. Individuals want a world where they can live in harmony. Without people meaning harm to each other, society can enjoy their lives without worrying. Okay. Oh, Rajveer, I see. Okay, that was the background. Okay. Where's your hook, Rajveer? Start with the hook. Okay. So, but I got it. It's a good background, Rajveer. Okay. So body one. All right. There. Just keep that definition really simple. So body paragraph one, should begin with your topic sentence. Okay. A topic sentence is just a deeper definition of your point one. And point one here is fighting for resources, right? And so I want to tell my reader what that is, okay, in a very clear, simple way. And again, you know, you're not writing for a Pulitzer Prize here, so you're writing for the IELTS exam. So keep your thoughts simple. Throughout history, people have fought wars for food, land, and water. And so we need to explain that, right? Like, what do we mean by this? Okay, so this is where your reader is thinking, well, why is that? Why do people fight for food? Why do people fight for water? Why do they fight for land? Okay, so what's the reason for this? Okay, so we need an explanation, and that's what I'm going to do here, is explain this concept of fighting for resources like food, water, and land. And notice how I'm not even overcomplicating here with secondary resources like oil or gold, which we then use to achieve our food, water, land needs. Okay. So here I'm just keeping it simple, and of course we can argue about, well, the world has enough food, we just need to stop eating meat and all these other great detailed points, but this is IELTS. You need to just keep it simple and clear, okay? So let's explain this. So humans are biological creatures with sustenance needs to maintain life, especially food and water for energy. And when this is not available, physical aggression is used to attain it from other humans. Okay, so that's my explanation, right? We need food, water to survive. I guess I could have done it even simpler like that. Humans need food and water to survive. When this is not available, they will physically fight with other humans, and the victor will survive, right? They will get the food and the water. Okay, so keep it simple. Okay. All right. Rajveer says there are finite number of natural resources and every nation wishes to own them, leading to conflict of interest and making it impossible to have global harmony. That's a beautiful topic sentence, and it's maybe even more modern, Rajveer. So I'm looking at, thousands of years of history and conflict. You're looking at basically more recent conflict, and that's good. Okay. All right. Okay, so now I need to either give further explanation or to simply give an example. Okay. This is, so let's give a clear example. All right. So where can we see in today's world where there's physical conflict between societies over natural resources like water? Okay. One clear example of this can be observed with the long-standing conflict in the Gaza Strip region. Is it Gaza like that? Strip region, where water resources are extremely limited and societies have been warring for decades. Okay, so one that comes to mind for me is the Gaza Strip, of course, which is a relatively small area of land that has water, and it's surrounded by a lot of land that has no water. And of course, the societies that live around those, without getting too political, have been physically warring over that piece of land because that water resource is so valuable for the area, for drinking and for farming as well, right? So and then don't forget your opinion. Okay. So since human population is increasing and resources are decreasing, I think that this type of conflict over natural resources continues to create war and makes peace unrealistic. Okay, so that would be my opinion there. Okay, now I'm going to reread this paragraph and make sure it makes sense. Make sure that I have explained my first point, fighting for resources, clear for my reader. Okay. So throughout history, people have fought wars for food, land, and water. Humans as biological creatures with sustenance need to maintain needs must maintain life, especially food and water for energy. And when this is not available, physical aggression is used to attain it from other humans. One clear example of this can be observed in the long-standing conflict in the Gaza Strip region, where I don't need region there, Gaza Strip, where water resources are extremely limited and societies have been warring for decades. Since the human population is increasing and resources are decreasing, I think that this type of conflict over natural resources continues to create war and makes peace unrealistic. Okay, I feel that that paragraph now is a very clear explanation of one of the reasons for peace not being possible, and for my opinion of it not happening anytime soon. Let's see what some of our members have written for this. So Rajveer says there are a finite number of resources and every nation wishes to own them, leading to conflict of interest and making it impossible to have global harmony. Let me copy it out, Rajveer. So let's take a look at this, okay? And then here is where Rajveer continues. All right. Let's take a look. And I see that Arda's writing. Amrit, if you're in there too, get it going. Let's take a look at this body paragraph one. I want to really encourage our members to write. Okay. So there are a finite number of number of natural resources, and every nation wishes. See, for you, Rajveer, as well, grammarly, very good. Wishes to own them, leading to conflict of interest and making it impossible to have global harmony. Indeed, resources like precious metals and land with treasures are limited globally, and humanity never refrains to physically harming one another to take control of such resources. Instead of resources, you could use the word commodities here, Rajveer. Okay. Now, you could, give your example here as well, Rajveer. So, many people believe that the USA has been warring in the Middle East to take control of the oil resources there. Okay? Or you could just simply state it, right? The USA has been warring in the Middle East to take control of the oil resources there, which in turn keep America in a position of power and control. Okay? Sure. Just like that, right? That's your example. All right, Arda, let's see what you've come up with. And it's good to practice, students, even if members, even if you're not writing as fast, for example, as Arda or Rajveer, just write. Okay, so Rashika, I love seeing your writing. Amrit, I love seeing your writing. Okay, so keep writing. All right, that's what this is about. I can show you, I can write, but at the end of the day, I want you to practice. Okay, especially these members chat classes. All right, so let me, Amrit, thanks for the super chat donation. That's awesome. Arda says, there's my whole body paragraph one up there. Yes, Arda, I'm just grabbing it now. Okay, so here we go. I'm just copying it out of the chat, everybody. Okay, so Arda writes, people have fought for finite resources, land, and power throughout history for survival. I wouldn't mix power in there, Arda. I think that will be a bit confusing. I think that I would reserve for my body paragraph too. Fighting for belief systems is more about fighting for power. So people have fought for finite resources, land and water, or land and food throughout history for survival. Okay, period. People need to have water and food. Okay, so people have fought for finite resources. I don't want to repeat here, so I'll just take this out. People need to have food, water, and food. So those needs not can lead, but do lead, right? Lead people to physical aggression in cases of lack, to physical aggression when they are lacking. In the 1900s, Arda, Germany attacked Alsace-Lorraine for the resources existing in France. With the gained resources from the fight, Germany would serve. Germany could serve better life qualities for its society. Germany could provide a better quality of life for its people. Furthermore, in cases like that, it is impossible to think as learned from cases like this. It is impossible to think about world peace because people get greedy and want to get as much resources as possible, even if this means harming others. Okay, so the concepts are good, Arda. Just correcting the language and ways to think about that. Okay. All right, now the paragraph reads correctly. Okay. All right, so there you go. That's how that looks. Students, in this case, I'm going to leave body paragraph 2 and the conclusion to you this time for homework, members. Okay, so I'm usually finishing these essays, especially in these 1.5-hour classes, but I took a little bit more time in this class for reviewing your work and also for explaining the importance of having clarity on the topic and being subjective. Now that we have this information and now that you have a good introductory paragraph, you can finish this essay and then send it to me and our team at aehelp.com. I would love to see the second body paragraph that you come up with. So send it to Adrian at aehelp.com, the full essay, and then we'll give you a band score estimate for your work. We'll let you know, whether you're doing or writing a band 5 essay, band 8, band 9 essay. And before you send it, students, before you send your work, use Grammarly. Don't send it with a ton of grammar mistakes. Might as well figure out the grammar mistakes, and you don't have to buy it. Use the free version. Even the free version is extremely powerful and extremely useful. So the Grammarly code that we have is right here. I'll put that into the chat again. Okay. It's right there. So finish the essay, use Grammarly, send it to us, get a score estimate, and then you can figure out your next step for your studies. Okay. Also, we have a 30-minute break coming up, and in that 30-minute break, check out our new speaking video. There's the link for that. I just put that into the chat. So check that out, and then come back in 30 minutes, and we're going to have a listening part 1 and 2 class. Okay, so we'll do some listening exercises, and then you're all set for today's English learning and lessons. And I hope that you picked up a lot of new vocabulary. Okay. Rashika says in Sri Lanka there was a 30-year war. Yeah, I know, Rashika. Unfortunately, there's a lot of examples of wars for belief systems and for resources. So that's why this essay should not be too hard to write once you have these ideas. Harwinder, thank you so much for being in the class. Again, students, make sure to check us out at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Carolina, thank you for helping to moderate and responding to student questions. I hope to see all of you back with me in 30 minutes for listening. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from Victoria for now, wishing everybody world peace, even if it's extremely difficult to achieve. Hopefully, I will see you in half an hour. Bye for now.